Thanks for joining us on Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Molly Hendrickson. Just minutes ago, the Denver Broncos wrapped up their first press conference since the passing of longtime owner Pat Bowlen.
John Elway and Joe Ellis both spoke about the life and legacy of Bowlen and the vision he had for his beloved Broncos. Broncos insider Troy Rink is live at Dove Valley today. And Troy, what was their message today?
Well, simply put, they both, Joe Ellis and John Elway, talked about the expectation and standard Pat Bowlen set in this building for the Denver Broncos, that he saw this team as a civic institution, that it was their responsibility to contend for championships every year. Now, this was a difficult day out here at UC Health Center, a few days removed from the passing of Pat Bowlen, but moving reflections from both Joe Ellis and John Elway. Joe Ellis talked about what a great boss Pat Bowlen was, and he spoke of his generosity both with his players and in the community. John Elway shared some funny stories about how the players got to know Pat best in Hawaii at the Pro Bowl. That's where Pat spent most of his time in the off seasons, had restaurants there, and how proud Pat was to take those players into his restaurants, play golf with them. John said at one point, he was on kind of a canoe with him. He fell, and he said, "Hey, no more of that until you're done playing." But John Elway learned so much from Pat Bowlen as a businessman, how to create expectation, and he said something interesting. People said that he wasn't a great communicator. Both said that wasn't necessarily the case, that he was a great listener, that his legacy will be the standard he set. John Elway admitted, we haven't met that standard the last couple years, and this year, more than any other, it's important for them to get back to the winning ways established by Pat Bowlen. Real quickly, the Broncos will wear a decal on their helmet this season that's orange and blue. Will say Mr. B. It'll be on the back of their helmet. They will also honor Pat Bowlen, have a moment of remembrance before the first regular season game, and then later in the season, they will honor him along with Champ Bailey, both of whom will be going into the Hall of Fame in August. Back to you in the studio.
Very fitting. And now who will carry the torch with that same standard that Pat Bowlen set?
That's the big question. Denver 7's Nicole Brady is outside Broncos Stadium, where fans are pushing the stadium committee to name it in honor of Bowlen. Nicole, Joe Ellis doesn't think that's what Pat would want.
Yeah, he pretty much kind of shut down the possibility of renaming the stadium for Pat Bowlen at that news conference today. For the last year, it's been a full year now, this has been the temporary name of Broncos Stadium at Mile High. This was always supposed to be temporary. The Metropolitan Football Stadium District is in the process of finding a new corporate sponsor whose name will appear on the stadium. That sponsorship provides millions of dollars every year towards stadium maintenance. Remember, until 2011, this was known as Invesco Field at Mile High. Then in 2011, the naming rights were transferred to Sports Authority until that company went bankrupt in 2016, and that's when the Broncos picked up the contract. Many fans say calling this Pat Bowlen Field would be an honor to the longtime owner and would reflect his contributions and innovations in the NFL. There are at least 2 petitions on change.org calling for the stadium to be renamed after Pat Bowlen. But again, as I said in that news conference today, Joe Ellis said it's not likely to happen.
I don't think he would want that, so I don't think we're going to do that. We've honored him with a statue with a Ring of Fame pillar and his plaque with the Ring of Fame. I think we'll do some things this season to honor him. But if we were to put his name on the stadium, I can remember him when he knew I was off track saying, "Joe, just a second here." And I think that would be his reaction, and there are probably some people that disagree, and I respect that. But for now, that is not something that would be in our plans.
Pretty specific there, saying not in the current plans. However, the Metropolitan Football Stadium District is meeting next week for their quarterly meeting, and we expect they may talk about the naming rights. Not sure if they'll consider these petitions that are out there that already have over 3,000 signatures, or if they'll maybe announce a development with finding a new corporate sponsor for Broncos Stadium. We're live today at Broncos Stadium. Nicole Brady, Denver 7.
All right.